Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Lots of news today, from new cruise terminals to a decision in Key West that is long overdue and still might not be over, to Australia may have some huge news this week. First in the news today is Key West, Florida. The commission there once again has set aside all the other amendments that they tried to do to their three ports that are there, the three cruise ports that are there, and they are now saying that they are not touching Pier B, which is the privately owned pier in Key West. Instead, they will be only issuing ordinances and restrictions to Mallory Square and the Outer Mole, which it leases from the Navy. The big thing is here, their lawyer over 8 months ago told them not to go after Pier B because Pier B is privately owned and they would immediately face a huge lawsuit, which they would probably most likely lose and face huge penalties for breach of contract as well as trade restriction and commerce for the state. So they were poised to lose big time. And the counselors and the city there keeps on saying to the lawyer that, you know what, we need to go after Pier B and we want them to make amendments to agree that they're only going to bring in this many ships and this many, restrictions per day and everything. And the lawyer has told them over and over again, look, according to the contract, we can do nothing to Pier B. Pier B has this long existing contract that lives in perpetuity, which means it never ends unless they end it and they change it voluntarily. They have no say whatsoever when it comes to Pier B. Also, they say now in this new regulation that they're bringing up that no ship will be allowed to stop at either Mallory Square or Outer Mole if there is a cruise ship in Pier B. And even then, it has to abide by the new guidelines of the 1,300 people maximum capacity per ship, including crew members, which means basically those two cruise ports are going to be non-existent from now on if this ordinance passes. Many of the owners and businesses in the area have come out again and said, look, this is going to really hurt. For instance, much of the money from the Outer Mole that the cruise ships would be paying to the city was designated for the waterfront improvement and the historic park area, which now has to be made up someplace else, which means more taxes for Key West residences. Business owners have come out and said, you just can't keep raising parking fees and raising taxes on hotels and land taxes. This money has to come from somewhere else, and that means the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. And for every cruise ship that doesn't come in, that's more revenue that has to be made up now in that city. So we'll see what happens, but that's the decision that they're putting forward again. We'll see if the state goes in and says, hey, you may run those two cruise ports, but that's still interstate trade and commerce. We don't know if you have the right to do it. So Florida may again step in one more time. Now, some really good news. Just down the road in Miami, we have the MSC Cruise Lines has now started and broke ground on what will now soon become the largest cruise terminal in the United States. That's right, not just in Miami, in the United States. It is supposedly going to be a state-of-the-art, environmentally friendly. It's going to be able to handle the new and modern cruise ships, the largest cruise ships, as well as LNG fuel, which is the clean fuel energy that everyone wants the cruise ships to eventually get to. It just seems like it's going to be massive. So massive, in fact, that they say they can handle at that one cruise terminal 36,000 passengers per day. Not a week, per day. So MSC is certainly stepping up their game here in the United States. You can only imagine MSC has been one of the fastest when it comes to building new ships compared to a lot of the other, even during the pandemic. So you may see MSC soon. Right now they have 4, and that's double what it was before the pandemic, sailing out of the USA. I wouldn't be surprised the closer that cruise terminal becomes ready for use, you're going to see many, many, many more cruise ships from MSC leaving out of Miami. I think they're coming for the market. The thing they got to remember is North American taste buds and entertainment choices are different than European choices. And so they need to offer something more for the American audience. A lot of their entertainment and that is designated and aimed and developed for the European audience. And that's not the same as American audiences. So we'll see if they make those changes. And now we have some big, huge news for one country. Before I get there, I'm just going to ask you, if you haven't done so already, would you mind hitting that subscribe button? It really helps the channel out. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers, 250,000. I think it's a very attainable goal. It doesn't cost anything. You're not going to be inundated with emails or anything. It just helps the channel out and in turn helps the community out. And again, I'd really, really appreciate it. Just hit it. It doesn't do anything except help the channel. Okay, Australia. Well, the Trade and Tourism Minister, Mr. Dan Tehan, has come out and said, we may have a huge announcement as early as this week that the ban on cruise ships, that's now over 2 years in Australia, will finally be lifted at April 17th. That is when it is set to expire, and they are going to make the announcement probably maybe Wednesday, and they will say, we are lifting the ban. As of that date, we will have health and safety protocols in place. We're working right now with Queensland and New South Wales, and they're working out their system and what they want to have in their protocols. And we will be ready to welcome back cruise ships April 17th. Now, are the cruise ships ready to go? No. But if they make the announcement this week, that gives the cruise lines 1 full month a head start, where they can start planning, getting crew members ready, what ships are going to be there, itineraries, start selling, decide what they're going to do. Many have already moved their cruise ships until October. You know, July, August, September, October, November, or later because of the basic stonewalling and the indecision of the governments in Australia and New South Wales on what to do with cruise ships. So this comes as good news. Will that mean immediately there's going to be an inundation of cruise ships sailing into Australia? No. No, it's going to take a few months at least to get those cruise ships up and running, prepared, get the farmers, get the suppliers all on board again on how to get them, what they're going to need, all the provisioning, etc., etc., etc. Plus, they got to find out what are those protocols going to be for people trying to fly in and take a cruise or take a cruise to Australia and New South Wales as well. Are they going to have different protocols in Australia and New South Wales? Are they going to be the same? It's still all up in the air until they actually come out and tell us what those protocols are, but at least this is a step in the right direction. If they come out this week and say the cruise ship ban is ending in April, that would be huge news for a lot of people waiting to get back to work, businesses who have been dying, just dying without the cruise ship industry. Well, that's all the news for today. I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.